Well, from price gouging to funding cuts and a federal funding freeze, there are major cases impacting our state right now.
Yeah, and Attorney General Rob Bonta is here to talk about what he'll be tackling today. It's going to be a busy day. First off, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
But let's talk price gouging charges. This has people outraged. We're talking about landlords trying to raise rents for these people, for these victims. So tell us a little bit about what your investigation has uncovered.
People should be outraged because it's outrageous that victims of the Palisades fire, the Eaton fire, are being victimized again, exploited again because of the need for housing. The demand is up, and so some real estate agents, some landlords are finding fit, unfortunately and unlawfully, to raise prices over the 10% cap that they can raise it. So we've brought 3 different cases that we're prosecuting, all in which the price for housing was raised over that 10% cap. Unlawfully, this one was a landlord and a real estate agent that raised the price over 30% above the cap. And so it's important for us to hold people accountable, make sure that price gouging does not occur. We've also sent out over 700 letters, notices when we have suspicion of potential price gouging to make sure people know we're watching, and we will take action as appropriate. So we brought 3 different prosecutions. We did another one where we handled the investigation. The city attorney of LA is handling the prosecution. So it's important to be active in the space to protect victims.
And I've been out there talking to fire victims. I hear a lot of people saying they've been scammed. You know, they've had FEMA applications opened in their name. We've heard a lot about price gouging. It does seem so prevalent. So how do you tackle that?
Part of it is knowledge, and so we shared information, education around the potential scams that always come. Unfortunately, they're predictable after disasters. You see scams for assistance with getting disaster relief, scams to help rebuild your home, scams for the good-hearted who want to give to charities to help the fire victims. Unfortunately, while we see the good in people coming together, lifting others up, and that's mostly what we see, we also see the opposite and people trying to take advantage of others. So my job is to make sure that the victims are not harmed again and are able to recover and heal.
Yeah, and going back to the price gouging, more than 600 warning letters have been sent out to people potentially, harming these victims. What do people need to know if they are a victim or they think that they are there is price gouging with them? What should they do?
Reach out to us. You can go to our website, oag.ca.gov. We also have a oag.ca.la fires to share with us information. We need specifics. We need details. We need concrete evidence. We need prices. We need screenshots. We need texts, any testimony that can be provided to tell us what the price that was offered was, and then we can do some digging to find out what the price in the market was before the declaration of emergency. But we need to bring a case that will stand up in court and meet the evidentiary standards. So details are important, and we can walk people through that when they reach out to us.
Bring the receipts.
Bring the receipts.
Now, you've been very vocal that you were not going to run for governor. You were going to stay in this office now that Trump has been elected. Last term, I think the state sued him over 100 times. His administration won about 2/3 of those.
That's right.
What is your plan right now for this administration? And also talk about why you're here today, beginning with the lawsuit against with the funding with the NIH.
Sure. Our job, my job now, especially with many of the threats coming from Washington, D.C. and this presidential administration, unfortunately, is to uphold the rule of law, to make sure that our Constitution is honored and complied with. And we have seen, unfortunately, too many times in just the first month that the president has been in office, multiple examples of the president violating the law, oftentimes very blatantly and egregiously. On day one, he issued an executive order that sought to strip away a constitutional right for U.S. citizens of birthright citizenship. A judge immediately restrained him from doing that, blocked him from doing that, and said it's a blatant violation of the Constitution, one of the most clear cases he's seen in 4 decades, and he's a Republican appointee judge. So it's important that the president operate inside his given jurisdiction of power and not go outside of it. So the rule of law is important, our Constitution is important, and also real dollars for California, for critical services for Californians are at issue. Case in point, we have a case today where we're seeking a preliminary injunction that's in the District of Rhode Island. The president's administration tried to put a stop on $3 trillion of federal funding. We estimated that about $160 billion of that would have gone to California over the course of the year, critical funding for things like healthcare and housing and food. college, child care, disaster relief. He paused it with no authority to do so. This is money that in most cases was congressionally appropriated. Congress has the power of the purse. Congress decides how to spend money, how to appropriate money. The president can't stop it. So we got a restraining order early in that case that lasted for a number of weeks, but now we're asking for a preliminary injunction that will pause the president, stop the president from halting these expenditures that are critical to Americans throughout the course of the entire litigation as we get to a final judgment in the case. We also have another case regarding National Institute of Health funding.
And that's money that goes to our universities here.
It
correct?
does. It goes to UC. They spend about $2 billion on research over the course of a year, 2 years ago. CSUs also about $140 million, $150 million. And this is money that funds research for groundbreaking advances in healthcare, whether it be Alzheimer's or cancer or heart disease, PTSD. It makes people's lives better. It saves lives. It improves health. And overnight, without authority and in violation of the law, he sought to cut that funding. We moved to stop him from doing that. We got a court order within hours, that more temporary restraining order that lasts days and weeks, and now we're seeking today a longer halt on his ability to pause that funding and to make sure it flows and that the research continues.
You got a lot going on. It's a busy start of the year, and I'm sure there's going to be more cases in the future. All right, Attorney General Rob Bonta, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it.